What is going on? You are listening to TAGSPodcast, aka Talk About Gay Sex Podcast. This is episode 475, and I am your host, Stevie, alongside my two co-hosts, and I'm talking about Jeremy Ross Lopez. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm good. How are you?
Very, very good. Lots to talk about with you, mister. But of course, we've got to welcome our other co-host, Kodi, Maurice, Doggette. I saw you yesterday. How the hell you doing?
Hello, darling. I'm doing wonderful. Happy Juneteenth, babies.
When we record this, happy Juneteenth.
Yes.
Exactly. I love that. And I know you're cooking up a storm over there in Brooklyn, so
got
nice.
the oxtails, boo. I got them on in the crock pot right now, baby. Hopefully they're succulent.
Okay. Well, two of us, I know for sure. Kodi, I know you're celebrating Pride here in New York this weekend. I'm leaving town. I celebrated. I'll tell you in a second what I did. But Jeremy, you, for the second year in a row, went to Providence, Rhode Island's Pride weekend. What can you tell us?
It was so fun. And of course it was rained out, but it kind of added like an element of like hot mess,
You're right.
Brown harassed rat type of vibes, but it was a lot of fun.
Nice. So what I remember when I joined you last year, it was block parties and popping from one spot to the next. Is that the vibe? Paint a picture for listeners on what Providence, Rhode Island Pride is all about.
Yeah, so we checked into the hotel on Friday. We got like an early-ish dinner and then headed to the Eagle block party. And so all the clubs do outdoor street parties where they set up huge stages and tents if it's going to rain. The Eagle specifically has like an outdoor playroom that's like inside. It kind of inside like an outdoor tentish thing with windows, and it's kind of hot, and it's definitely dark because at night it's not a very well lit area, but all the outdoor parties are super fun. And so we walked around early to get wristbands before the rush, and then you can just like go in and out of any party you want once you have the wristband on. Most of the covers are around like $25 to $30 each. One place I skipped was like a $60 cover. Okay. And it was more like the circuit vibe, and that's not like my favorite type of music. So we just skipped that altogether. And we went to the Eagle both nights, and then the Stable and Dark Lady. And the thing that I love about Providence Pride is the parade takes place at 8 p.m. So it's all neon lights, and it's really, really cool, the fact that it's not during the day and at night. And it's just a really like fun time, and everyone's super nice, and it's just like a very uplifting, like very fun Pride. Definitely the best Pride that I've been to.
You know, It's so unique. And one of the things when you just were describing the nighttime parade reminds me of, people are going to laugh, Disneyland does a parade at night on Disneyland's lot when you go to the amusement park, and there's lights everywhere. This is sort of the same thing, but for LGBTQ plus people, and you get to see the parade, witness it, and then you can go to any one of the block parties that are within this proximity, and you can just hop around. It's so unique and so cool, right?
Yeah, it's definitely like an experience. And I don't know, it's different when the whole parade takes place at night. And we also went to our hotel was one of the host hotels, and it had a Barbie theme party in the lobby.
Fun.
And so they were doing face painting, like airbrush painting on your face, and they had like wigs and hair pieces that you could wear, and they had like a huge Barbie box built with balloons around it, and they had a DJ in there, and then they had some boutiques like selling handbags and clutches and sparkly clothes and stuff like that. And the other thing that I missed last year that I went to this year was they have Pride Fest, which is a huge outdoor marketplace stage and show, and then food trucks. And it's literally like a bridge, and it's probably, I think it's like a few miles of tons of tents and merch and fans and t-shirts and tank tops and all kinds of fun stuff to wear and buy and eat. And I skipped that last year, and so this year we went to that because it was right outside our hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And that was another fun aspect of this Pride.
I love it. Nice.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great time.
Definitely.
Well, like I said, I'm going to be out of town for Pride here in New York, but don't feel too sorry for me. I will be in Puerto Vallarta. But on the other
Which
hand,
is Pride every day.
I know,
exactly. Absolutely. What I did do this past weekend, was go to the Jones Beach Theater, where I feel like it was a gay pride extravaganza, because the lineup included people like, for all you old timer 90s people, Daya. So she was playing when we first got there, and if you Googled her, you'll recognize a couple of her tracks. But then we went into Taylor Dane, and I can't believe it's the second time I've seen Taylor Dane this year, y'all. It's so crazy. Tell it to my heart. She's such a great live performer, and she's amazing. And then we followed it up with Christine W.
Yes.
Jeremy, you and I have a close friend that's a huge fan of Christine W.
Yes.
She's known for all her hits throughout the 90s, early 2000s. She has a brand new album coming out in the fall. And the other thing that she's known for when she's not singing is she's a saxophone player, and she'll break out the saxophone right on in the middle of a set, and it's really iconic.
Word?
This Saturday was no exception, and so cool. We moved on to Deborah Cox, who made a huge announcement that she's going to be starring in Broadway in The Wiz next March 2024 here in New York City, and can't wait for that. But she did all of her hits, belting out like only Deborah can do. Looked amazing with the cape. Apparently the cape right now on stage is the thing to have. Janet had her cape, and others are having a cape moment. And she did I Want to Dance with Somebody, because, she did do the Bodyguard musical, which I saw, and she can belt out Whitney, let me tell you. And then lastly, or last but not least, was Kylie Minogue, and she was the headliner, and Kylie delivered on so many fronts with all her hits. She looked amazing in this bodysuit, jumpsuit with red and gray. I mean, it was just she's so much fun. She sounded great. I'm a big Kylie fan, and she definitely did not disappoint. So the gays were there for sure.
Love.
So much fun. Yeah. And then I followed up yesterday for Folsom East. It's a sister to the iconic Folsom Street Fair in San Francisco. This one's a little bit smaller, but still equally cool. A lot of vendors were there, including our guests from last week on Tags Live, Master Joshua and Miss Cat, which I hung out with them. They asked me if I wanted to get flogged, but I had a couple drinks. I'm like, probably not the best right now. But I was wearing a loincloth. You can see it on my Instagram account. I am _Steve V. And I was flashing everybody at the festival, living my best life, and including I met a boy early on standing in line to get some cash, and he said, "Oh, I'm only here for 20 more minutes because I got to go to the show. I overbooked." And he kept reaching underneath my loincloth and getting me harder and harder. And I don't know who I am these days, but I am a top 9 times these days. So he said, "Where can we go? I need to make you some." So we went into one of the porta potty stalls, and note to self, you will have privacy in one of those, but on an 80-degree day, it's like an oven. And I took off my loincloth, he sucked me off, which was great. I pounded him several times, which was a lot of fun, but I was sweating bullets.
Love.
Yeah. And so he wants more, so we'll see. And cute boy, though. And I had a lot of fun. And I flashed the bartender at one point and got a free drink, which was good. He did not expect to see that.
If you got it, get that free drink with it, right?
I was out of control, but in a good way, in a very good way. And I know I saw you there, Kodi.
I was
How
there.
much fun did we have with Joe and the three of us hanging out?
We had a great time when we saw you. We saw you randomly because you came up and we were like just coming in, and we all hung out together. We had drinks. We chatted. Some people made out with boys. I don't know who they are. I'm not gonna name any names. And it was you, darling. It was you.
Okay.
And then we went out for dinner and we went bar hopping afterwards. It was a lot of fun. Now, I had a great time.
Well, we want to hear from you too. So share with us your favorite Pride stories this particular year. I think this is a very particular year that we could probably spend the rest of the summer sharing our Pride stories. I think we need to share them because of the climate that we're in right now and the violence that we're seeing. So you heard our stories. DM us on any of our Instagram accounts. I'll share with you at the end of the show, but we'll read some of them throughout the summer. Very important year. Kodi, one of the interesting things that happened between you, Joe, and I at the very end of our night in front of my building, we were just communing, saying our goodbyes, and a random man came up to us on the street, tapped you and Joe on the shoulder. I'm not sure which one in particular, but said, "I'm Muslim and I support you."
Yes, it was so strange.
Looked at us in the eye, turned
That's
around.
a little scary.
Well,
but
Jeremy,
at the same time.
Jeremy, at first, I think the three of us were a little taken aback, like,
Yeah.
wait, what's going on here? But we all reflected on it. And what were some of the things, Kodi, that we did reflect on?
I actually said back to him, and we support you back, sir. It was just so random because I think he saw Joe and I holding hands, and that's what prompted him to let us know that he supported us. And we reflected that we just thought it was beautiful to be accepted, and especially in that culture of the Muslim culture, and in this day and age where the hate towards the LGBTQ community is just so rampant, that we thought that it was just great of him to say that to us and for us to feel affirmed, I guess, in this time.
Yeah, I thought it was when we really thought about it, I think we need more of that. And we're always preaching to the choir in general. And it's easy to go to a Pride celebration and people are shouting back to each other like, yes, we support and we love that. And we want to continue that. But you don't always hear from those, like a community, certain people in the Muslim community. The religion essentially does not support LGBTQ plus in general. He was affirming that he is one of them that do, and it was important for him to say that at that moment, and we hear him and we appreciate what he had to say. And I think it's nice to hear, we're going to say a story at the very end of a baseball player of the Mets who didn't have to do something that shows support from non-traditional ally sources. So
yeah, I think it's great. My brother's Muslim, and that was something else that I kind of reflected on, was that, maybe some Muslims do not approve of homosexuality, but my brother is one of them that supports me and loves me wholeheartedly, no matter what. So I think that it's great.
Nice. And quick reminder, because we are a couple weeks away, we are still in a Tags Pride promo giveaway. One of the things you can do is get 25% off by going to adamstoybox.com. But anything you want on the site, 25% off. Use our promo code TAGS25 to the end of June. But you can also enter our Pride promo giveaway when one of two giveaways sponsored by Adam's Toy Box. Simply go to our website, TAGSPodcast.com. The links are all over there. Tags promo giveaway. Click on it. Take our survey. It will help us, and you'll be automatically entered. And early July, we'll announce the two winners and send those giveaways away. Okay. Well, we wanted to do a follow-up that was from the White House last week when the White House did a Pride celebration. And we told this story on Tags Live. We'll tell you, Jeremy, really quick. One
Mhm.
of the attendants, Rose Montoya, is a trans influencer, mainly on TikTok. And she proceeded to, alongside some of her trans brothers, they showed off their chest to show their scars and how they are now men with chests. And she decided to stand next to them at the White House, mind you, and show her boobies, but she had her hands over them. So she essentially took her dress down and but had her hands over the nipples and
Mhm.
showed it. She got a lot of flack for it, not necessarily for doing that, but also because maybe it could have just been a moment. But she filmed it and then put it on a huge TikTok video. And in the video, she's with Biden, she's with Jill Biden, and many other people at the White House. And at the end of it, she shows this. Well, it did not go over very well. And the right, of course, glommed onto it on this is why this was an event for families, and now people are showing their body parts. And this is why you guys are groomers. She had a response to it, a very defensive response initially, but then the White House came out afterwards and said that anybody, not just Rose, but anybody that was featured in that video, this was inappropriate and will not be invited back to the White House.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the new update, thank you,
You're
from
welcome, darling.
Rose is she's actually apologized she made a whole apology video. I want to take the moment to apologize for the impact of my actions, she said in the video. I especially want to apologize to my Black trans brothers and siblings, especially transgender women who are Black, because I understand that you all are constantly at a disproportionate level impacted by the actions of others, and especially by anti-trans violence. I would also like to apologize to my family, friends who have been harassed, she said, and to my own community, LGBTQIA plus community. And additionally, Montoya said, last but not least, I would like to apologize to the president, the White House, and the nation. It was also never my intention to create a situation that would lead to harassment and harm to myself and others, nor for trans joy, like a little moment of trans joy, to be weaponized by vile people of the opposition. So, I have to say, I'll just give my quick opinion. You don't want to penalize people forever. I think she made a bad decision and it was
Mhm.
inappropriate at the time, but I take her apology and I think we should all move on from here. What are your thoughts, Jeremy, when you hear the whole story in general?
I agree. I think it's not a big thing, but it is disrespectful in certain cases, and I also think that sometimes it's best to keep certain things in confined spaces or like a controlled space where there's a little bit more uh, regularity age wise, where outside in public or anywhere where you could be near families and kids is just a different situation. So I think that her apology is good, and I think that obviously she has learned from the mistake, and I don't think that she meant any harm originally.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree. And I know you've
Yep.
been following this story, Kodi. Anything to add to this?
Yeah, I think that this is what I call growth. I think that she had some time to reflect on it, and now she's realizing how much harm could potentially be done because of this. I don't know if that's the right word that I want to use, but it's the first thing that came to my mind. Just that it can actually be taken by other people and used against trans people of any station. So I and that there's a time and a place for something like this. So I hope that she doesn't get banned forever from the White House. Just, make sure you keep your clothes on, girl. That's it.
Right. And I don't know how many invitations are flying to the White House left and right. I was lucky
I
to
know
go to
that's
one year,
true.
but sometimes it's a one deal, one off, and you should be lucky you got there. But I accept her apology too, and I'm all about the growth as well. And let's not penalize somebody for one bad mistake they made, and that's okay. There is a brand new study. Boy, the difference a year can make, and this this survey was done in 2022 and 2023, so we have a year's difference, and it was all about your moral codes on what you think of certain things. They asked different American opinions of moral issues, like I said, from 2022 to 2023, and regardless whether you think the issues should be legal, they wanted to ask the question, do you think they are morally acceptable or morally wrong? And they did a percentile that showed the difference, and a striking difference on, they asked things like birth control. So in 2022, 92% thought that it was morally acceptable, as opposed to this year, 88%. So a shift. They asked things like divorce, sex between an unmarried man and a woman, but let's get to the good stuff.
Yeah.
They talked about gay or lesbian relations, and this was a huge spike on whether you think gay or lesbian relations are morally acceptable in 2022. 71% thought that. Well, here in 2023, it's 64%, so down 7%. When we talk about things like the death penalty, 55% thought it was morally acceptable. Well, now it's 60%. And pornography, which is something we talk a lot about, 41% in 2022 thought it was morally acceptable, as opposed to now only 39% think it's.
Ooh.
So, was there one other than I wanted to read? I think pornography was the main one, and gay or lesbian, but the gay or lesbian was dramatic change and shift. You know, I do think it's representative of where we are in the last year because of the far right. Sometimes you think, oh, I don't pay attention to politics much, but you kind of have to now, because the far right has, over the last year and a half, really stated their claim on grooming and how drag queens are evil, and really shifted, I believe, the country within a year. And when studies like this come out, you can actually see. And then does it trickle down? Well, I think the answer is yes, because you're seeing things like Target and Bud Light being under fire for having LGBTQ paraphernalia and merch, and then pride parades and people tearing down flags in places like New York City and other parts of the country, LA, San Francisco. They're tearing down pride paraphernalia left and right, which is prompting a lot of people to, are we going to feel safe at this year's Pride? I mean, I guess one question to ask you, Jeremy, because you were just at a Pride celebration in Providence, did you feel safe? Was there a little bit more, in your opinion, what you saw, a little bit more security present based on what's been going on? Or did you not notice it?
Yeah, it was noticeable that there was a lot more cops and just security around at every event, and also at the big day events. And it felt safe, and there were obviously protesters and stuff yelling and on speakerphones and things. But for the most part, it was so outnumbered that it felt like a comfortable and safe environment to celebrate.
Good, but I'm glad you probably felt safer because I was there last year and I don't remember a lot of it, and I don't know if we're just a little bit more hyper aware of needing that protection, but I'm glad you felt safe to be there and just enjoy your Pride moment.
Definitely.
Kodi, when you hear, we all know what's going on in the country and this shift, and we're headed to Pride's celebrating and people tearing down things. But when you see a study like this, what do you think?
Yeah, these are the people that are voting for our rights, basically, and for that dramatic a drop in people deeming us morally acceptable. How is that even a question that it's morally acceptable for me to exist? That shouldn't even be in anybody's mind frame of being able to decide. But that's neither here nor there. But the drop means that there are more instances where our rights can be taken away. So I think that that's something that we need to really take into account. As far as feeling safe at Pride, I know that because of the current climate, I have felt dramatically less safe, even in New York City. My head is always on a swivel, no matter what. But I think that I feel like I am a little bit more reluctant to hold my boyfriend's hand out in public, to kiss, to do other things that I normally, or even 2 years ago, would have done without even giving it a second thought. So I think that it's really, really affecting me, and I think that we should all be aware of how could it affect our rights in the future.
Yeah, it's really interesting because you really realize that things are such cyclical and it's a pendulum that if what's going on in politics can really have an overall effect.
Yeah.
And here, like you said, in New York, of course, LGBTQ rights are being, and everywhere actually in the world, we could do so many stories on them, but even just safety riding the subway these days. I was just watching a story earlier today where, not to go down a rabbit hole of this, but there was a stabbing of several people just stabbing people. And it was, now
That's
people
horrible.
are starting to say that they turn off their earbuds when they get on a train because they don't want to drown out the sound and, heaven forbid, be a victim.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, that's definitely smart.
yeah, right. Even when I get on the subway here, and then we'll move on really quickly, I try not to stand too close to I look for the train and then I pull it back because there's too many stories of people pushing people into the tracks.
Right? Crazy.
Like, no.
You will come with me. I will pull your whole hair. Come on.
It would be a big nope and Kiki Palmer it. And yeah.
That's
okay.
right.
Well, we've got to move on to a recent conversation that was happening on Reddit, where the community was talking about hookups and do people really match their profile photos. The Reddit user who started the discussion said he didn't even engage with the other person. Happened to me and I didn't answer the door, he said. In the comment, someone else said that when he was 25, he arranged to meet someone who said they were 32. And I went to the location outside his place and saw he was clearly over 50. Okay. And that user wrote, I immediately thought, if he's going to lie about something so obvious, what else has he lied about? I just walked past him as if he wasn't the guy I was supposed to meet, made a U-turn sometime later and walked back to my car and left. He then sent a message, something like, I guess I wasn't up to your standards. I played dumb and said, nope, I didn't see you there. That's where I'm at. They go on and on. It's worth a conversation on this when people don't look like their profile picture. I'm just going to tell my quick little story where I use this app sometimes. It's not even an app, really. It's we've had the marketing person on our show before for sniffies.com, where it really pulls in. You can use your browser to find who's locally in your area. You can put a profile up there. You don't have to. You can be anonymous. And I've met two people on there recently. One I'm just going to share. One, I went to his place. He really wanted me to come over. I was so impressed with his condo. It was like 2 stories, and I was like, ooh. So high marks for that. I know that's so like vapid, but he didn't though look like his picture, and he said he had a certain size dick that didn't match up for what he had advertised, if you will. And we started, and I realized I couldn't go forward with it because there was one too many things off. And I started to almost get on the bed, and then I said, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm going to have to go. And he actually didn't pose a huge, like, he didn't get too mad at it, but I just realized I couldn't go through with this. And I said, it's me. I'm off. I had a whole like dramatic Lifetime movie of the moment where like hyperventilating and
it's
clutching.
It's not you, it's me.
It's me. And I was clutching at this imaginary pearls and grabbing my purse, which imaginary that I didn't have. And I ran out in it, and he was fine. He's actually practically crying. And then I want to share one more. I want to hear from you guys. I had a recent experience where, talk about not looking like their profile. They were in a hotel down the street from me, and he said he's not out, he's straight, he's on business, and all he wanted to do, he was very specific, which I appreciated, to get sucked off. and I was in a horny moment. He left his card for the hotel room outside, and I said, "It's outside." He says, "Yes, it's on a ledge." And there were
Oh,
people.
Lord.
I found
You had a
out.
scavenger hunt?
I was like, and you know me, I'm not really good with directions. And I was all of a sudden like, wait, where is this? He's like, it's on the left. And I'm like, oh, okay, here it is. I walked in, the door was ajar. It was pitch black in there. And he literally, so I said, okay, it really is. I never saw his face, but what I felt, he had an 8-pack. An 8-pack of abs.
Yes.
He let me suck him off. It was what it was. I, of course, wanted to push it a little bit more. I was grabbing his feet. He didn't want that. But I did. He was very specific, and I had this feeling like, oh, he's this badass straight dude who's DL.
I was gonna say,
I just
you suck
went
up
with
an actor. Oh my gosh.
8-pack abs, you guys. And so sometimes I like when you're just honest and you just say what you want and you live up to it. But Jeremy, what are your experiences? Have you been with people that don't look anything like it, and are you afraid to turn away and say, I'm sorry, I can't go on with this?
I definitely have in the past, but I also usually try to either like FaceTime or exchange numbers and stuff like
Oh,
that because
yes.
I've kind of learned from other mistakes in the past. So I like to see someone in real time and always like either ask for like a live photo or just like call me really quick or whatever before I invite them over. And also now that I'm living in the suburbs, it's even more personal to have someone at your home rather than like
Yeah.
at an apartment where you can just shut the door and like they're in a building of all other people, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like in New York, I had awkward situations where like I was just explaining this to someone at Pride this weekend, but like I had a guy over that at 11 in the morning was completely high on I don't know what, and obviously didn't advertise that, didn't say anything
Right.
about it, and then just asked to use my bathroom and stayed in there for like 45 minutes. And
Oh
so of
no.
course I'm like knocking on the door's locked, and then he finally opened it and I was like, you need to go. And
Ooh,
he was like, what do you
Jeremy.
mean? And I'm just like, yeah, this is not going to work out.
I've been in that same situation too. I think one time you were over too, and we threw the guy out and his shoes into the hallway.
Oh my
And
God.
yeah, we were a little
That's so
dramatic, but yeah.
scary.
Kodi, did you do a FaceTime with Joe? Because we all know by now you met your current boyfriend almost 2 years. And did you do a FaceTime or did you not? And if you did it, were you pleasantly surprised when you finally saw him?
So my thing was I would always meet them in public, and we would meet at like a coffee shop or a bar and grab a drink before we go hook up. That was the way that I kind of alleviated having any mix-ups, because trust me, I have had people that have misrepresented themselves on the apps. And like just like you, Steve, I've been in a spot where I'm so horny that at that moment I don't even care anymore. So let's just get it done.
But there was an 8-pack and a nice cock, so
I mean, you did it. I mean, a hole is a hole, right? Any hole is a goal. That's what that's the old saying goes. But yeah, Joe and I, we exchanged a lot of pictures. No dick pics, fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it. But when we did meet, I was very pleasantly surprised, and our chemistry was undeniable. So it was great.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, it can be important. And so share with us your stories as well related to this story. I'll post this on TAGSPodcast.com. Okay. Well, we have time for a Reddit thread that we want to weigh in. By the way, you guys, we offer solicited or unsolicited advice here on this show all the time. And if you are in a conundrum, whether it's your relationship, a future upcoming relationship, how to meet people, sex encounter, we are here for you. And all you got to do is go to our website. You can email us via the website, tagspodcast.com, or you can DM me, _Steve V, and we will offer you some advice.
Nice.
Okay, here we go. So they write, should I be worried about not being introduced to my boyfriend's single gay friend he meets on the regular? Okay, so I've been dating my boyfriend for almost 2 years, similar to you, Kodi, and I've been introduced to all of his close friends, vice versa, other than one. He
Oh,
has two, oh no, I could hear it. He has two single gay friends who he meets on the regular one-on-one, but I've not been introduced to one of them. He has more gay friends in a friend group, but that's not the point. They meet in average at least once a week, and in the beginning, he was actively not telling me where he went, when he met them. I called him out on this because he always says if he's going to grab a coffee with someone, but when he meets this guy, he used to just say that he's going to go for a walk, only to reveal that he was actually meeting him. I have exam season. He's an RN, so I'm probably just overthinking, but should I be worried? Edit. I feel weird about asking to meet this friend. I feel like it would make me look like a jealous bitch. Hi, I'm his boyfriend, and I wanted to take a look at you because you stink. It was what he wrote as a quote. It would feel like a confrontation. It's an interesting thing because I think he should be a little bit worried, or just say, why can't I meet this friend of yours, and be honest? I mean, Kodi, you and I hung out before Joe came into the picture, and we were going out all over the place to
yeah.
places like the Cock here in New York and having a great time. And you and I still once in a while have our alone time. We work together, but I also fortunately love Joe, and it's been fun to hang out with the two of you.
Yeah.
But I guess one question to ask you was, did all of your friendships coincide? Because that's not always a given if you're going to like each other's friends. And then answer this question on, would you be worried?
So I think that a lot of his friend, yeah. This is okay. So there were a lot of his friends have grown on me, and a lot of them I liked immediately from the beginning. That was a difficult question, Steve. I was like really taken aback.
Wasn't an SAT question.
I know, right? But yeah, so I don't think I got along with all of his friends immediately. Some of them I did, some of them I didn't. But all of his friends now I adore, and I think they're all amazing. And I could have them over any time of day. I think maybe it was more about me being a private person and not wanting people over the house all the time. I don't know. There's a lot of variables as far as why the two of us didn't get along. But there was never an issue as far as him hiding me. He wanted to introduce me to everybody. And I think that is an issue. I think that this person needs to have a confrontation. He doesn't need to be worried about a confrontation, because the fact that he is sequestering one friend from your relationship means that something underlying is going on, and he needs to really be worried. Because if Joe had one friend that lived in the same neighborhood or near us that he was going to see constantly, that I had met after 2 years, oh, something is suspect. I could barely contain myself while you were telling the story.
Well, one of the things that I really hold near and dear is we are all solitary people before we hook up and meet our partners at times. And I think it's so important to have your partners respect the friendships that you have. And yes, we're all going to hang out. We're going to have moments that we're going to meet each other's friends and hang out with our friends. We're probably going to love our, hopefully, partners' friends. But I like to also know in any future relationships that I can do things on my own too with my friends. But I would never not disclose or let, especially somebody that was so close to me. I think major red flag. And you are not overreacting. I know you're in your RN exams right now, but major red flag, and you need to confront him on it. Jeremy, when you hear this, what do you think?
I agree. I would not be okay with it whatsoever. I think the other thing is, when you're in a relationship, if your boyfriend is seeing another person routinely every single week, I already am not okay with that. So I think that
emotional
if I don't
bonds,
even
right?
know the person whatsoever, and I don't even know what they look like, or anything about them, I'm already not okay with that. And if 2 years has gone by and that hasn't changed, there is a huge question mark there, and I would be investigating or would have already found out.
I agree with you too, because I feel like, and I know the case is true with you, Kodi, but
Mhm.
any partner that I get together with romantically, that I feel like they're also going to be one of my best friends, because they're going to
Yeah.
be so intimate that I'm going to want to do all these things with them. I'm going to share with them so many intimate secrets and not intimate, that why would I then be only wanting to spend this other friend's going to have to understand, like all friends should, that there's a new person and it should be celebrated and not, do I think that they could have moments where, we used to do this, we're just once in a while? Sure.
Every
So,
now and then is just fine, because but
Mhm.
this has become habitual. This is every single week that this person is going to hang out with their friend, and that's really suspect. Not
And like Kodi said, I mean, it's a question mark alone to have been with someone and met all of their friends except for one person.
oh
That's
yes.
just strange.
they need to be doing some investigation, like you said, Jeremy. Put on that
Right.
detective hat, learn something from
Get to
Destiny's
that
Child.
coffee spot and bitch make the scene.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Inspector Clouseau out here, because I care.
Okay, well, I wanted to leave on a positive mark because it is Pride Month, and there is a New York Mets outfielder by the name of Mark Canha. He is celebrating Pride Night. He's straight, y'all, but
Oh.
they all have, when they announce them. Apparently, they come out to music, and he, for the second year in a row during Pride Night, annual Pride Night, the New York Mets celebrate, changed his walk-up songs to reflect gay pop anthems. So when they announce him, I guess he used to come out to different music, but during Pride Night, his playlist included Madonna, Whitney, Diana, Gaga, and Taylor.
Love it.
Yep. And
Maybe besides the Swifty.
I was gonna
I
say.
know we could imagine it was Taylor Daniel, but I don't.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, right.
I love it.
So when Canha was coming out, he wanted the gays to know what were those songs. Mark Canha had changed his walk-up song in honor of Pride Night. His songs for tonight are, and they actually put this on the big screen, "You Need to Calm Down."
Oh.
What's that, Kodi?
That's Taylor Swift.
Okay, Born This Way. Okay, we know. Vogue. I'm coming out, Diana.
Yes.
And I Want to Dance with Somebody, Whitney, which I just talked about at the
Yes.
top of the show, that Deborah Cox sang. And he's very outspoken. He's an ally. Canha was the face of the Mets Pride Night festivities. Prior to the game, he recorded a video message explaining why the event is so important to him. Quote, "Pride Month is just a really important and fun time for me personally," he said. "I think Pride Night is really fun and festive, and I love celebrating our LGBTQ plus community. It's a community I have a soft spot for and will always support." I think these, again, with the top of the show, you all, with when we talked about the random man that was
Mhm.
Muslim that came up to us,
Yeah.
and then when you have a straight Met baseball player who is really making an impact. These, I mean, yes, we love preaching to the choir all the time, but these are the ones that really make an impact in my mind, and it's just
Definitely.
lovely. Yeah.
100%, because they can change other people's like them's minds as well by going out there and doing the good fight and it's preaching love instead of hate, basically.
Amen. Thank you guys so much. And on this Pride, as we get closer and closer, check out our co-host Instagram accounts. I'm sure, Jeremy, did you post anything for?
I did,
okay,
yeah.
so you can check all that out.
Ooh.
You can follow Jeremy on Instagram, and you can go to @JRossLopez, @JRossLopez. Follow Kodi. He's a life coach at KMD Coaching, or on his personal account, which he's going to Pride this weekend, at Mr. Maurice. So, Kodi, the challenge is up to post some things.
Gotta get on there. Gotta make sure I do all of you proud.
And if you want to see me in a loincloth, go to I am _ Steve V. And if you DM me, maybe I'll show you what's underneath it. Hey, you never know. In the meantime, we want you to continue having hot, gay,
sex.
Yes.